introduced
Good evening.
the motivation and effect. And now let's have a short review using a video.
Know that marketing is all about satisfying needs. But in order to do that, we have to understand why people buy what they do. To understand how motivation works, we need to distinguish between a need and a want. A need is a basic goal, such as keeping yourself nourished or protected from the elements. In contrast, a want is a specific pathway to achieving this objective that depends a lot on our unique personalities, cultural upbringing, and our observations about how others we know satisfy the same need. Two people may have a need for shelter, but one person's cool downtown loft is another's suburban McMansion. In a lot of situations, we don't have strong preferences for the brands we buy, so long as they do what they're intended to do. But in other cases, cult products such as Apple or Harley-Davidson, Chick-fil-A, and the Boston Red Sox command fierce consumer loyalty, devotion, and maybe even worship by consumers. Which side of the fence are your customers on? The answer makes a big difference in terms of how you market your product. Although consumers' involvement levels with a product vary, marketers do not have to simply sit back and hope for the best. We can design communications to boost a customer's involvement, such as using novel stimuli, including unusual cinematography, sudden silences, or unexpected movements in commercials. When a British firm called Egg Banking introduced a credit card to the French market, its ad agency created unusual commercials to make people question their assumptions. One ad stated, "Cats always land on their paws." And then two researchers in white lab coats dropped a kitten off a rooftop, never to see it again. Animal rights activists were not amused. We can use prominent stimuli, such as loud music and fast action, to capture attention. In print formats, larger ads increase attention. Also, viewers look longer at colored pictures than at black and white ones. Include celebrity endorsers. People process more information when it creates spectacles where the message is itself a form of entertainment. In the early days of radio and television, ads literally were performances. Show hosts integrated marketing messages into the episodes. Today, live advertising that features attention-grabbing consumers. For example, Axe Body Products sponsored a posh Hamptons, New York nightclub for the whole season. It became the Axe Lounge, sporting branding on the DJ booth, menus, and Axe products in the restrooms. Remember that just because your brand is important to you, this doesn't necessarily mean your consumers agree. Be realistic about your target market's level of involvement and do your best to boost their motivation so that they're as excited about what you sell as you are. We live in a world overflowing with sensations.
We move to today's section, the self. Another internal influences on consumer behavior. And the self includes mind, gender, and body. And we will learn many concepts about self. And one core term is self-concept. Self-concept. And we should have some idea about the relationships between self and products, especially the products when possessed. And the self-concept strongly influences consumer behavior. Products often define a person's self-concept. For consumers, they usually buy something to show their identity, show their personality, show their identity. And others can judge a person by his or her possessions. So we should know the important role of self in influencing consumer behavior. And then we may introduce other two self, gender identity, and body. Gender identity is an important component of a consumer self-concept. And there do exist some gender differences when consuming different products. And some products are just produced or designed to show for example, the role of a female or the male. And for the body, the way we think about our bodies is a key component of self-esteem. If we do feel that our bodies are not very fair, not perfect, then we may find something to just like a remedy or decorate decorate ourselves. And sometimes the feelings about our bodies depends on the culture we are in. The way our culture tells us we should think which looking will be perfect. So some products will show some, for example, in some advertising and in some specific context or situation, we may need some products to keep fresh mouth and to keep our perfect body image, and then we can improve our public image. Then we can keep our high level self-esteem and avoid the embarrassment, especially in a public situation. The most important point is all about self-concept. So now we may introduce some perspective on the self. We have ideal self and actual self. Ideal self is our conception or perception of how we would like to be. And the actual self is the one, our more realistic appraisal of the qualities we have. And when we want to be the ideal self, we may rely on some products, possessions. Then we can buy products to help us reach the ideal self. Or we buy products to be consistent with actual self. And different cultures will have different perspectives of the self. Now one important differentiation is between Western cultures and Eastern cultures, and one popular used term is collective self and individual. As we know that for Eastern cultures, the collective self or the collectivism is more popular. It's a popular culture phenomenon, right? Because people are interdependent. and people's identity usually come from group, from the society. They pay attention to the group and the societies. They usually think about their influences for the society, their behavior, the influences of their behavior on the society. And people's identity are usually defined from relationships with others, especially in China. Do you know a term? In English, it's face, but in Chinese, we call it 面子. It is we Chinese consumers, not just consumers, Chinese usually pay attention to their social image judged by other people, and they will show the bonds with others, the relationships with others. But for Western cultures, in contrast, they focus on individuality, and they note a lot. They focus on the individual self very much. So the culture is independent. As we can see from the advertisement, in different cultures, for example, in Western countries, in American advertisements, we can often see the advertisements emphasize the freedom, and the achievement, and they usually use just like, for example, the ego, to show their individuality, independence with others, to show their individual thinkings, and this concept of a self, independent self, versus the interdependent self or the collective self, do influence the consumer's behavior. So there are some cross-cultural research on consumer behavior, and the researchers do find the cultural differences and the different behavioral patterns and the different behavioral responses when in almost the same purchase situation. So it's very interesting. And Self-concept. The definition of self-concept. Self-concept are the beliefs a person holds about his or her own attributes and how he or she evaluates these qualities. And these attributes have different dimensions, including the content, the positivity, for example, self-esteem, intensity, stability of time, and accuracy. Self-esteem is the possibility of a person's self-concept. For those who have low-level self-esteem, they will think the focus is they will not perform well. In contrast, the high-level self-esteem individuals will think they will be successful and will take risks. They are very confident. So some products will focus on improving the level of self-esteem to help consumers to set up their confidence, especially in social context. But for those high self-esteem individuals, they may emphasize on the achievement, success, or attract them to take risks. The advertisements can trigger social comparison, and then they will, for example, they will use attractive models who are using their products to show how to improve self-esteem. Actually, this is a process of learning, behavioral learning, right? You can think about local examples of self-esteem advertising in your countries and trying to figure out what kinds of products can provide a remedy to low self-esteem. And you can evaluate the probable effectiveness of the appeals in the self-esteem advertising. If it was not very effective, you can find more effective ones, effective appeals? You can think about it after class. And in society,
Roche,
yes,
the PPT is turned off. It's not showing.
not showing. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. So now I talked about the self, including mind, gender, and body. And now we are talking about the mind self. I think we introduced the different cultures' perspective on the self. For Eastern countries, we focus on collective self or interdependent. For Western cultures, they focus on individualism, individuality. Focus more on individual activities. And the definition of self-concept, the beliefs a person holds about his or her attributes and how he or she evaluates these qualities. And self-esteem is one of the possibility of positivity of a person's self-concept. And we have two levels, low self-esteem and high self-esteem. Through social comparison, we can help consumers to improve their self-esteem, to set up confidence. Actually, self-esteem advertising provide remedy, show the solutions, how to improve low self-esteem. And for individuals, we have ideal self and actual self. We can change the state of actual self to be ideal self, or just hope to keep the state of actual self. So products can help consumers to reach ideal self from actual self. Or they can provide products to make consumers to be consistent with their actual self. And in society, individuals may play multiple roles. So each one will have multiple selves. And marketers will pitch products needed to facilitate active role identities. But not all the selves are active at one time. So for marketers, they can active one or several selves or role identities, and then they can use their products to match their role identities. Besides, we have virtual identity, because now, especially with the development of internet and smartphone and social media and so on, we may have many spaces, virtual spaces, and people are assuming virtual identities. In different cyberspace. And they may have their virtual image online. And the virtual identity, the virtual image or identity sometimes are very different from the actual selves. So we may think about the question, how do online selves affect consumer behavior? And taking yourself as the example, you can think about, do you have any online selves? And the online self is different from the actual self or not? How do your online self affect your consumer behavior? We have some theories to explain the effect of a self. Symbolic interactionism shows that suggests that relationships with others play a large part in forming the self. And individuals may think that, who am I in this situation? When he or she attend the social activities, and they usually think, who do other people think I am? So in the process of interaction, consumers may think about the relationships with others, and they take others' perspective on themselves as an important reference. So we usually pattern ourselves on the perceived expectation of others. Perceived expectation of others. Because we just think about the expectation of others. Sometimes it is not the reality, it's just the perceived expectation of others by ourselves. So that is a self-fulfilling process. And to be extended, we have looking glass self. Through looking glass, we can take the role of another people to see who am I and what do I look like. Through looking through the glass, we take readings of our own identity by bouncing signals of others and trying to project what impression they have of us. What impression they have of us. And the awareness of self is called self-consciousness. Self-consciousness. Researchers say that those who score high in self-consciousness especially public self-consciousness, are more interested in clothing and use more cosmetics because they want to show good looking, perfect appearance, and social image or public image. So through self-monitoring, they are attuned to how to present themselves in social environments. We have a researcher that have developed the measurement tools to measure public self-consciousness level. The relationship between consumption and self-concept, and it's using the effect of self. We can develop identity marketing. To encourage consumer alter some aspects of themselves to advertising for a branded product. And to some degree, product consumption is the definition of oneself. Now we can have an exercise. You can construct a consumption biography of a friend or family member or your classmate. Think about a typical person. Now
We cannot see anything, it's just a gray color on the screen.
minute. Here, biography of someone. Just catalog the items it displays in his bedroom or office, or the clothing he or she wears. Come back to our question. Can you construct a consumption biography of one typical person in your life? So make a list of his or her most favorite possessions. And from the possessions, can you describe his or her personality?
Basically, yes.
One student can tell the possessions that one typical friend have, and other students will guess the personality of your friend. Okay.
Can I tell
Tapi
what it?
Hey, you can tell one example.
um,
Yeah, you can tell. You can tell.
oh, Bayan, you can talk. You can talk. I'll talk after.
Okay. For geography, one of my friends, he was very big fan of movies, Marvel movies, and I always knew what to give to him for birthdays. It was very easy. He was not very serious to life and always play games, not studying, but mm, yeah, I can describe what to give him to birthday and what he always buy. It was very easy. And another friend, he was very quiet and don't know about what he's thinking. It's two different persons. For one, it's very easy. For the second, it's not very.
Many information.
Mm, for the first friend, as I told, he don't study. He always play. He always just walk, and mm, it was my school friend. And now he study only in college. That's all. Now he working, but still he still love like a child superhero movies and just play games, walking.
Okay, anyone can tell or describe Bea's friend's personality, judging from the information he provided just now.
Okay, based on the information provided, we can say that the friend likes to use things that remind him of his childhood. So he likes to watch movies. He's a very sociable person. Maybe he likes entertainment. He always wants to go out. And then he's very trendy. He knows about the next movie that is going to be shown maybe this year or next year. He's checking it out. Maybe we can say he's also a tech freak. He likes to look for information because of his desire to always look for movies and then to look for the latest movie and all of that. That's the little I can say.
Okay, is that right?
Yeah, it's right. Yeah, it's right. Those like movie, cartoons, and comics. I don't know how he do this all day.
Okay, very good. So now we can take turn to say another person's sessions, and the other students will guess it. Okay.
Okay, Laoshi.
Okay.
Okay, I would like to describe the personality of
Okay.
one person in this class. I will not mention his name, but his favorite possession is a cap. He's always in a cap. He likes, most of the time when I see him, from his jacket down to his pants, usually it's color black, and he's very, very bold. So he easily approaches people, and he's also very approachable as well. And one of the things that he likes to put on, the favorite one is the cap, I think I can say. So, and most of the time, his wears are or appear to be very sporty, and it's from a head to toe kind of dressing. So if he has a black and white cap, he likes to match it with a black jacket or a black pants, which appears to be his favorite color. So that's what I can say about that friend in this class.
Okay. Can anyone tell his name or just tell?
His name is Ask.
Bro, you are exposing me, man. Laoshi,
Yes.
他在说备货那个备货。Actually, he described me because I put cap because of my hair. That's why it's me. Oh, he already described me. Why I need to describe myself, right? No need to guess, right?
Okay. So
He
can you
already mentioned
describe
my
your
name.
personality?
My personality.
Yeah, just from the information Nathan provided, described.
I don't know my personality. He just mentioned about my wearing style, such stuff,
Yeah.
and he also mentioned I am approachable. So almost true. That's true.
That's true.
Yes. Thank you, Natal.
You're welcome, man.
So now you are on campus or you are knowing each other?
Yes, we do. I'm in campus. He also.
But some students are not on campus, and do they know you before?
Before he came here?
Yeah.
No.
Does anyone do not know Wameng?
Me. Yeah, me. Guys, you can guess.
Yeah. And I want to say that we are not psychologists. We're just the professionals in consumer behavior, and we are judging person's personality just through his or her possessions. So we through the bond or the relationships between the consumer themselves and their possessions, through their consumption, through their consumer behavior, through their possessions. So for marketers, we should have this ability, right? And to match the personality or the attributes of the consumers, marketers should find strategies to satisfy their needs or to match their needs between the consumers and their products to construct some relationships between consumers and the products.
Also,
Yes.
here is a question like maybe we can describe that person depend on his position or his wearing style or just something he has, right? But in different country and on different culture, it's different. For example, maybe
Exactly. This is
yeah.
very good
For
point.
example, in Chinese, wearing red is very common, right? It's a lack of. It's a sign of good luck, right?
你刚才说的什么？
那个中国人穿的是黑色，那个红色的，他们
红色的是吧？
对他们比较那个对喜欢红色的，
中国红。
对他们节日的时候，对他们
good luck。
穿红色的，对。但是在我们的国家，我们穿那个节日的时候或者那个没有工作请假的时候，穿的是白色的。
Yeah.
所以呢，我们对的。For example, if you ask like someone from Ethiopia, he will wear like red or some stuff. Maybe he goes another stuff. Depend on his culture.
Yeah, exactly.
So how can we
So we can
decide?
put
Yes.
consumers in the specific cultures. So for marketers, we can pay attention to the local cultures,
Yeah.
right? Especially for those international companies, they should develop local advertisements, and they should pay attention to the cultural differences. And you just mentioned a very important point, that is the differences in the clothing, right? The clothing. And for other area, just like food, there are a large different situation, right?
Yes.
I come back to the point I want to emphasize is that through the perceptions, we can make a judgment for the consumers. So sometimes we can define a consumer by his or her possessions. And you are what you consume. And we trace on the social identity theory. We take social identity as individual consumption behaviors. And when you just like you said, now you are in China, wear red clothes will show that mean good luck, right? 对，中国有个俗语叫入乡随俗。So now you are in China, so you can take the judgment rule
Yes.
in China, right? So who am I now? To some extent, your possessions. If you usually dress black, in China, we may think that this guy is very cool, right? And
Really?
sometimes very serious. Yeah. And in some situations, if you are in black, that may be a very formal situation. You get the idea?
And we can describe his favorite color, and maybe he like gothic style, but I'm not sure.
Only the color, like maybe just can we say that because of his wearing black, he's a formal person? Because those clothes are different. Like there's a formal clothes in black, and also there's informal, like there are sports clothes, right, in black too.
Yeah, it's cool.
So
And
can we
formal.
say that this is formal?
we should see the occasions or the situations you are in.
Yeah.
要看场合，看你在什么场合穿这个黑色的，对吧？如果你平时
对。
都喜欢穿黑色，就是很酷嘛。It's a cool guy. Yeah. Okay. And we can get the information from the consumption and to infer the personality, right? So we can have the we can take the inference of a personality based on consumption patterns, and the consumers will match themselves with the products. So they attach themselves to product. The purpose is to maintain self-concept, to show who am I. And there is another theory, symbolic self-completion, self-completion. People who have an incomplete self-definition will complete the identity by acquiring and displaying symbols associated with it. Can you understand this point? People who have an incomplete self-definition will complete the identity just by buying some products with the symbols to show who is she, who is he. And to set up a complete self. So here, the positions just used as the symbols. The symbol to show who am I now? Who am I? And the congruency theory will hold that the self and the product congruence. People, consumers, will demonstrate their values through their purchase behavior. We choose products when attributes matches the self. We can say product usage equals to self-image. And all of these external objects we have, we can consider it as a part of us. So it is the extended self. There are 4 levels of extended self: individual, family, community, and group. For individuals, we can using the personal possessions, for example, the cars, the clothing, to construct the extended self, to show the self-image. And family level, we can judge it by the residence, the furnishings, and so on. And for community, we can think about their neighborhood or town where you live. For group, we can consider the persons who are your friends, or the groups you are in, group members. The same with you. So all of these external objects can be part of ourselves, can be ourselves. Okay, just now we talked about the self, and beside this, we have another one, especially in digital area, not just the virtual one. We have a digital self. And this is a very interesting point, because now we usually post our pictures online, especially on social media platforms. And because we have the access to post-production tools that will help us to engineer our identities. And then we can modify our digital self, modify the profile photos we post on social media platforms. The devices we wear on our wrist. Move into on our face, move into our clothing. Increasingly, our digital interactions are attached to our bodies. Okay. And as the summary, we can see the video about the self, which the professor tell us.
When was the last time you took a selfie and posted it? There are more than 35 million selfies posted on
Just the self.
When was the last time you took a selfie and posted it? There are more than 35 million selfies posted on Instagram alone. Suffice to say, a lot of people are sharing their selves, especially when they're in glamorous places or doing cool things, with anyone who cares to look. The self-concept describes the beliefs a person holds about his or her own attributes and how he or she evaluates the self on those qualities. Although your overall self-concept may be positive, there certainly are parts of it you evaluate more positively than others. You may feel great about your tennis game, but wish you could be more fun at parties, for example. We choose many products from cars to cologne because we want to highlight or hide some aspect of the self. Self-esteem refers to the positivity of a person's self-concept. So how do marketers influence self-esteem? Exposure to ads can trigger a process of social comparison, in which the person tries to evaluate her appearance by comparing it to the people depicted in these artificial settings. This is a basic human tendency, and many marketers tap into our need for benchmarks when they supply idealized images of happy, attractive people who just happen to use their products. We also often engage in a process of impression management, in which we work hard to manage what others think of us. We strategically choose clothing and other products that will show us off to others in a good light. Obviously, this process underlies many of the purchases people make, in product categories ranging from cosmetics and clothing to home furnishings and even cars. So, are you what you buy? Those external objects that we consider a part of us constitute the extended self, and these objects influence our self-concepts. Our valued possessions, such as clothing, jewelry, cars, and homes, impact the way we feel about ourselves. So do our affiliations with external things, such as sports teams or political parties. We've already talked about impression management, but our wired world takes this process to a new level. Today, we have access to post-production tools to engineer the identities we express when we're online as well. These free or inexpensive applications, such as Snapchat filters, allow virtually anyone to dramatically modify his or her digital self at will, as we strategically modify the profile photos we post on Facebook or the descriptions we share on online dating sites. In addition, many of us also create identities in the form of avatars in virtual worlds like Second Life and massive multiplayer online games or MMOGs, such as World of Warcraft. Americans alone spend about $1.6 billion per year to buy virtual goods just for their avatars. Our physical bodies continue to merge with our digital environments. We're moving from you are what you wear to you are what you post.
Okay, that is the part of the self. Now let's have a break for 10 minutes.
Okay.
And we talk about the self. There is a very interesting point. It's about superstition. Now I have one. I downloaded one paper. It's about the consumption superstition. It's very interesting. And I want to know if there is any superstition phenomenon in your country.
Basically, it's like intermission system.
And I'll share this. I share this research in our WeChat group. You can check it. It's about the antecedents and the consumer behavior consequences of the trade of a superstition. I shared it just because this is an interesting phenomenon. And there are different levels of a superstition. But for consumption, a very simple example is that we Chinese usually like the number 8, the number 8, and the number 9, the number 6, right? And for example, if you travel to another city, you may want to book a hotel room, right? And the price usually is 288 or 398. Because in Chinese, 8 means 八, right? 八. The pronunciation is close to 发, to be rich, 发财, to be rich, 888, 发. It's just a illustration of this superstition. And now I can share the screen. And here is the main contents. Superstitious behavior is found in numerous consumer domains. In the sports domain, a tradition at Texas A&M University is to bury its mascots at the north entrance to the football stadium so that they can face the scoreboard and watch the edges outscore their opponents. When the stadium was expanded, thereby blocking the decreased dog's view, a temporary scoreboard was placed outside of the stadium. In the San Antonio area of the U.S., there is a retail chain named Lucky Village, which sells good luck charms, plants, and objects from around the world. And in the consumption of food, U.S. soldiers driving tanks in the 2000 Iraq War refused to consume apricots because they were believed to bring bad luck. And even the most rabid sports fan knows that neither bring a mascot to face the scoreboard, nor turning your head around to rally your team will bring good luck. Countless consumers purchase lucky charms and create elaborate rituals that have no influence on the particular outcome of any given situation. Some consumers will not delete chain letters received through email because of the promise of misfortune if they fail to pass them on. When newlyweds leave the marriage ceremony, it is customary to shower them with rice to bring good luck and blessings to their marriage. A number of American hotels have the 14th floor directly above the 12th floor, omitting the unlucky 13th floor. And similarly, in China, 4 is an unlucky number because the pronunciation 4 in Chinese is 4. It's similar to days. So as you can see, in China now, it's hard to find a car with 4 numbers in the car ID number. Some researchers have proposed that superstition is caused by personality traits. Others believe it is the influence of culture and our surroundings that foster superstitious beliefs and behavior. In this current article, a hierarchy model of personality is employed to investigate the trait antecedents as well as the behavioral consequences of an enduring disposition to be superstitious. It is called the 3M model of motivation and personality. from the motivation perspective. See, brief introduction of this research. In two exploratory studies, a hierarchy model of a personality was employed to investigate a number of possible trait antecedents and consumer behavior-related consequences of superstition. One of the interesting findings was that the antecedents of superstition include a lower need for learning among older adults, higher levels of sports interest, a belief in fate, and a decreased belief in heaven and hell, suggests that the consequences of a superstition might include beliefs in astrology, magic, psychokinesis, and the existence of fictitious creatures. A negative association between superstitious beliefs and attitudes concerning the genetic engineering of food products. Just the one direction of consumer behavior. It's interesting, and I believe that you can find some interesting superstitious consumer behavior in your country. Okay, and next part will be gender, identity, and body. For this section, I will show a short review. Gender differences in socialization. First of all, gender roles vary by culture, but are changing. Men are expected to be assertive and have certain skills. Women are taught to foster harmonious relationships. And as individuals, we have sex-typed traits that we stereotypically associate with one gender or the other. So there are some sex-typed products. Usually take on masculine or feminine attributes. For example, pink princess telephones. In some hotels, we can see some pink decorated rooms. And in the parking lot, we can usually see some parking plots, especially designed for women. Now, new managerial class of women has forced marketers to re-examine strategies for female. And there are sporting goods, car accessories, and electronics products targeted to women. male sex roles. There are traditional models for masculinity. For the body image, consumers, the subjective evaluation. Okay, for this part, I will using the videos shown by Professor Solomon.
Gender identity is an important component of a consumer self-concept. People often conform to their culture's expectations about how those of their gender should act, dress, or speak. We refer to these sets of expectations as sex roles. Of course, these guidelines change over time, and they differ radically across societies. As the famous book says, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Gender differences are important for marketers to understand. Consider the differences market researchers observe when they compare the food preferences of men to those of women. Women eat more fruit. Men are more likely to eat meat. As one food writer put it, boy food doesn't grow, it is hunted or killed. Indeed, consumers do tend to view meat as a masculine product. In one case, a company that sells soy patties found that men viewed the food as feminine. So its solution was to add artificial grill marks on the patties to make them look like cuts of meat. Another popular book once proclaimed, "Real men don't eat quiche." In addition to quiche, marketers promote many sex-typed products. They reflect stereotypical masculine or feminine attributes, and consumers associate them with one gender or another. For example, the ePad Femme bills itself as the world's first tablet made exclusively for women. It comes preloaded with a pink background and a number of apps related to yoga, grocery shopping, weight loss, and cooking. In contrast, androgyny refers to the possession of both masculine and feminine traits. Androgyny can open new markets if marketers can expand the reach of their target audience. Some companies that sell exclusively to one gender may therefore decide to test the waters with the other sex when they promote gender-bending products, which are traditionally sex-type items adapted to the opposite gender. For example, the recent profusion of merchants that sell pink guns for women. The gay market is significant, and it may represent untapped business for many companies. To put things in perspective, the so-called LGBTQ market is about as large as the Asian American population, currently at about 12 million people. These consumers spend in the range of $250 billion to $350 billion a year. A Simmons study of readers of gay publications found that these readers are almost 12 times more likely to hold professional jobs, twice as likely to own a vacation home, and 8 times more likely to own a notebook computer compared to heterosexuals. Of late, the cultural spotlight has turned on transgender people, helped along by the media attention paid to a character in the popular TV show Orange is the New Black,
and the debut of former athlete and current reality TV star Bruce Jenner in her new identity as Caitlyn Jenner on the cover of Vogue. Our definitions of gender continue to evolve as a global third gender movement picks up steam. For example, California now allows residents to register as non-binary if they don't see themselves as traditionally male or female. Gender definitions are increasingly fluid, and it's important for marketers to keep up with these important changes in order to discover new opportunities.
Okay, for body section, I just mention the points. For each person, they will manage their body image. But yeah, not everyone manage the body image very well. If you want to show a perfect body image, you should keep exercise, light food, and so on. So sometimes the body image is the subjective evaluation of the physical self. Body kinesics is a person's feelings about his or her own body. If one have a strong body kinesics, which means he or she will frequently buy premium products. Ideals of a pretty. What is beautiful is good. Is typical stereotype impression, and for different cultures, maybe they have different rules. What is beautiful is good, cause favorable physical features include attractive faces, good health and youth, balance or symmetry, family curves, or hourglass body shape. For male, they have strong male features. This may used by marketers in their active advertisement to show the ideal models, right? The models showing the perfect body image, and then encourage or motivate consumers to buy their products, to reach the ideals of the beauty. And in some situations, the appearance good looking can be an exemplar in can bring extra benefits. For example, one study showed that a good-looking person, especially good-looking CEO, will result in higher profit. And a good-looking person will be more easier to get a job opportunity, and tend to have a higher salaries. There are some body decorations and body image surgeries because they have distortions. Cosmetic surgery change upper body image or to enhance appearance. And their corresponding business, right? Okay, so today's topic is on the self. We talked more on self-concept and the actual self, the ideal self, the collective self and the individual self, or interdependent self versus independent self. And then we mentioned the definition of self-concept, the positivity of self-concept, self-esteem. And we talked about the relationships between products and consumption, consumer behavior. And we mentioned several theories to explain the impact of a self on consumer behavior. Through the, for example, social identity, perspective, social comparison, symbolic interaction, and symbolic self-completion theory. And then we mentioned the gender identity, sexual identity, and the bodies. And there were some stereotype impressions in society. And usually for consumers, they want to play the roles that the society expect them to do that, to behave on that patterns. But sexual identity is different from gender. Society's expectations of masculinity and femininity help to determine the products we buy to be consistent with these expectations. And it is a major component of self-definition. The media or the marketing activity, especially advertisement, plays a key role in teaching consumers how to behave as proper males and females. Okay, at last, we recommend some further readings for you guys to read through and to strengthen your understanding of the impact of self. And I'll share some of the reading materials to our channel group. And one more thing I want to emphasize is the materialism, especially in the domain of consumer behavior. We some scholars have pay more attention to the material possession, that is materialism. And here are some readings. For example, truly, madly, deeply, consumers in the throes of material possession love the safety of objects, materialism, existential insecurity, and brand connection. When wanting is better than heaven, materialism transformation expectations, and the product evoked emotion in the purchase process. And there are some special possessions for the expression of material values. So this is the content today. Okay, and
Okay.
at last, I want to say that I only received several submissions for the weekly response for this week, for last week. So I hope you guys can read the reading materials, especially I shared in our WeChat group. And you can just find one paper, one you are most most interested in, and to read more, not just limited to the paper I shared. You can search for more related papers on this topic, and to accumulate some academic literatures and find more. It's better for you guys to find a more deeply thinking on this topic. connected with your own consumer behavior. The purpose is to make some exercise on literature review and then make some comments on the academic researches and find an interesting topic. Okay, so much for today.
谢谢老师。
客气。